Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes. Yeah.
Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 128. As always, you can give this podcast a listen on SoundCloud, iTunes. If you're on iTunes, please rate, subscribe, and leave a review. You can also check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Google Play. You can hit us up on Facebook at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page, as well as the Dojo Talk Podcast Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, where I play video games and try and die, as I did with Sekiro yesterday, at Serial Sensei. And of course, as always, I'm joined with my co-host, Antaku. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. How you doing? How's Sekiro? Or how you pronounce it?
It's, imagine you play Dark Souls.
I've seen Dark Souls.
It's like a mix of like Dark Souls. I don't know if any of you guys remember like Tenchu from back in the day.
Nah.
It's Tenchu Stealth Assassins. It was on PS1. Or just to simplify it, just think of it kind of like Dark Souls, but with, you know, swords. And kind of like the whole ninja samurai setting. I played for 2 hours yesterday. I died like 99 times, and 98 of those deaths were from the same person. I got into like the first, I don't even know if you really call it a boss fight, but like the first like big fight, I guess, and I got worked over.
Is that the boss where like he takes like 90% of your health? Because I saw this on Twitter somewhere with like one hit, and somebody's like, it took me forever to beat him, and then like I guess they realized it was like a 2-stage fight.
Yeah. So, quick tip for anybody. I guess that's not really a spoiler. Quick tip to beat that first. It's the soldier you fight after the gate, and when you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he has two. It takes 2 fatal blows to kill him, and after the first fatal blow, he gets his entire health bar back. But quick tip: if you want to get rid of his first health bar really quick, don't just run head up and fight him. Sneak around, jump on the top of the rooftops. You can do a stealth kill to get the first fatal blow. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. And then y'all get into the real fight. And then he'll probably whip you for an hour, but you'll get there. But no, it's fun though. It's fun. I bought it. I finally got a chance to play it, and it's been pretty awesome. Yeah, that's video game spiel. Go play Sekiro. It's pretty dope. Have you done a March Madness bracket? Or did you do
No.
it?
No.
You did a good job. You shouldn't have. I'm wishing I didn't. March Madness has been like just as stressful as fantasy football because I can't back when I retired from fantasy football. I won championship last year and then I quit. But now I just watch games and I'm watching them and I'm enjoying them, but I'm stressed out at the same time. And I'm stressing out over schools I don't even care about. But no, it's been fun, though. It's been a fun tournament. Ja Morant is awesome, even though he's...
out.
Yeah, Florida State got him out of here. I guess quick shout-outs to the home squad. Towson University, on the women's side, got into March Madness for the first time. Unfortunately, the first match was against Connecticut. UConn got them out of there, and it was not pretty.
You know what I feel really bad for? And maybe I shouldn't, but was it Evelyn Christian?
Ooh,
yeah, who they play on the men's side?
I can't remember. I think they got spanked too.
Yeah, but the women's team had scored 35 points against I think it was Baylor, who's a number 1 seed. But yeah, no, they got spanked, like on both sides. Yeah, they scored. Yeah, they lost 95-38.
Woo! Oh man.
Like I don't know if this was like their first time in, and like there was a moral victory, or if they're like one of those teams that just constantly gets in at like the 16 seed or whatever. But yeah, no, it was not a fun night for them.
Yeah, that's a quad bus ride home, boy. You you lose by that much.
I mean, they got to go to wherever the hell they were hosting this game. I don't really. I mean, maybe they got like the week off from school or something.
I mean, it probably is a good experience. Like my stepbrother played D1 football. So like I know like during like their bowl games, like bowl season, which I guess is somewhat comparable to March Madness, kind of sort of, maybe not really, but it's a fun experience. You probably get to go to a place you've never been before. You probably meet a lot of cool people, cameras out there. It's probably a good time. But yeah, that final score though. That's vicious. But no, I'm happy, man. March Madness is awesome. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It's just a really fun tournament to watch, regardless if you're really a fan or not, because it's that one shot, one kill elimination. There's no best of 7, no best of 5. You play, you win, you lose. This bye bye. So no man, yeah, March Madness has been awesome. So shout out to everybody in March Madness making the weekends fun. I've been just coming home from work and just watching games of random teams I don't even care about, but it's been pretty good. But as for the show, before we get started, always got to shout outs to the listeners. So everybody on Tumblr and Twitter and wherever you are, when you listen, post and repost, we always appreciate you. Top cities of the week. Number 1, somehow Dubai got up here. Shout out to Dubai. Number 2, Highland, California. Number 3, we got a return. I'm probably butchering this city name, but Fakos, Egypt. Fakous. I don't know how that's pronounced, but shout out to you guys. Number 4, London, over in the UK. And number 5, I've never seen this entry ever. Lusaka, Zambia. So shout outs to Zambia. And right behind them was
we're in Africa.
Yeah, we're making it. Actually, Usman wins and we tap a new market. We're gonna give him that credit. Right.
Nigeria doesn't care, but Zambia.
There you go. Somebody's got to care. And right behind them is Seattle, Washington. So yeah, man, thank you. Appreciate the listeners. As always, man, post, repost. The brand. None of this grows. We don't get more listeners without you guys. So we definitely need the repost. And as always, man, send questions. Any questions you got, send them to Dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Or comment in the comment section wherever you're listening. Leave a question, and we will answer. So, as for today's show, we'll talk like a little bit of Bellator, a little bit of. There were a lot of cards that went down this weekend. I didn't get a chance to really watch a lot of them, and I think both you and I both forgot that there was a Bellator card until like the last minute.
I didn't know until somebody tweeted out the Tokov-Harris fight.
Yeah. So we'll skim over some of these other cards. I got Bellator on the docket, LFA, KSW, and we'll dig into Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia because that happened like literally while we were recording last time. But there won't be a ton to break down in that fight because it was. We'll get to it. But and then of course we'll talk Wonderboy, Pettis. But as always, got to start off with the news and notes for the week. Not too heavy on matchup wise, but there are definitely some stories that we'll have to dig into a little bit. So I'll just save those for last. But as far as matchups, I guess one of the biggest ones, Luke Rockhold finally going up to 205. Probably about 3 years too late, but whatever. Rockhold going up to 205 at UFC 239. He'll be facing off against Jan Blachowicz. Another big fight that got announced, Kevin Lee is moving up to welterweight He will be fighting Rafael Dos Anjos. That'll be at UFC Rochester. At UFC 238, we'll have Tai Tuivasa versus Blagoy Ivanov. At the UFC Philly card, unfortunately, Alexa Grasso had to drop out of that fight. She's being replaced with Jessica Aguilar. So that'll be Jessica Aguilar versus Marina Rodriguez. And also on that same card, we'll have Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Ian Heinisch. At UFC 236, we'll have Alan Joban versus Dwight Grant. And at UFC St. Petersburg, we'll have Islam Makhachev versus Arman Sarukian, if I'm saying that correct. There were a couple of other UFC fights, but none of them were like really crazy announcements. So to be honest, I just kind of skipped some of them.
I'm not gonna lie, you just been saying names at me for like a minute, and I'm zoned the fuck out. I'm sorry.
I mean, outside of we'll go back and touch on Rocco Blachowicz and Lee Dos Anjos, but I mean, outside of that, like not a lot of these fights are really,
anything. They're not real.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna watch them, and they're gonna fall into our collective forgotten memory bank.
Yeah.
Of things that happened, but we don't remember. Like,
right.
We watched Maya Davis yesterday. Do you remember anything about that fight? Yeah, I thought so.
Something happened. Somebody got punched. But moving down, Bellator has a few fight announcements. Julia Budd will be defending her featherweight title on July 12th against Olga Ruby. And at Bellator's Birmingham card, we have a set of matchups. Derek Campos will be facing off against Ryan Scope. And also, kickboxing ace Raymond Daniels will be making his second MMA appearance. I think he'll be fighting at welterweight, and he'll be going against a gentleman named John Durant. And the last bit of, I guess, kind of fight announcement news. Andrew Leone, who was going to be in one championship flyweight tournament, he had to pull out due to injury. So replacing him will be Senzo Akita, who was a former Pancrase flyweight champion. And I think he also owns a win over Yu Yu Wakamatsu, if I'm saying his name correct.
I really thought you were about to say Yu Yu Hakusho.
Somehow that would have been like the most racist thing ever. Like I just butcher his name and just Yu Yu Hakusho. So
let's talk the big news. There's currently no UFC bantamweight champ.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So on the news. Well, before we get to that, any quick thoughts on Rocco Blachowicz or Lee Dos Anjos?
So I see a few people just saying, Rockhold's like boxing defense is going to get him hurt at 205. I'm more worried about his like layoff, because I didn't realize Chris Weidman's fought more times since their fight at UFC 199, or what was it? I think it was 199 or 194 or whatever. But Weidman's fought more times than Rockhold has. Weidman's always hurt. Like, the man just had like his 6th like neck surgery. Like, if he gets another one, he gets it for free. Like, so like I'm more worried about Rockhold just being healthy. Hopefully the weight cut helps with that. But like I don't see a problem with Rocco moving up to 205. Like, I'm actually like one of those people who's like, you know what? John Jones is probably a better matchup for him than Yoel Romero. if we're being like straight up honest, just because if Rocco's problem is his defensive, like, footwork and boxing defense and all that good stuff, like, Jones isn't the person to exploit that. Like, his game is neutralizing the movement and the space between him and some of his opponent. It's not based on exploiting, like, oh, I'm gonna make your head go here,
right, and
then by feigning, and then I'm gonna crack you with a right hand. Like, that's not his game. And he's not the he'll pressure, but it's not gonna be the same type of pressure as like a good pocket boxer like Romero.
Yeah.
So, and let's be honest, Jan Blachowicz just got knocked out by Thiago Santos trying to come forward in like close distance, and it, like, I love Santos, but like that's not Santos's game. It was never his game at 185, and he probably mostly got away with it because he's quicker, and Rockhold should be quicker than Blachowicz by a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. I think this fight will tell us a lot about where Rockhold is at, because this is a matchup that skill for skill, Rockhold should win this, like on paper.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, being at 205, not dealing with a weight cut, he should. Hopefully he'll just be healthier. He'll feel better. He'll be able to move better. This is just in essence, this is a very winnable fight for him. I'm not gonna say it's a cakewalk, but it's one of those fights that you should win. Jan might, he might crack you once, maybe. He'll make you work for it at least. But it's one of those fights that he should win this. So if he goes into this fight and somehow gets like blasted, I think that's
and like that's another thing. Jan's really he will acquiesce to the type of fight you want. So if you want a fight where you are basically just like, okay, you're going to come in, but you're going to come in on my terms, and those terms are going to allow me to land that like step back hook that he really likes to throw, or that like question mark kick that he really likes to throw, like then that's in your favor going into this fight.
all right. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I think Rockhold should win that fight, and if he doesn't, then that's trouble on the wall. Lee Dos Anjos, I think, is a really interesting fight. I kind of been flip flopping on who I think is going to win this, mostly because I'm not sure what Lee's going to look like at 170, and my other concern was I almost felt like if Dos Anjos could like weather an early storm. I don't know if this fight is a headliner. I'm not sure if it's going to be.
It's the main event.
It's the main event. Because I feel like if Dos Anjos can weather like an early 2-round storm, he could eke out a decision taking like the last 3. I could just envision Kevin Lee just kind of slowing down, and Dos Anjos maybe just being able to land more. Maybe he gets lucky and just is able to stuff takedowns later in the fight. But again, don't know what Lee looks like at 170. Maybe his gas tank is a bit better. Maybe he's able to push harder. And they just continue giving Dos Anjos just wrestlers. Like,
yeah.
And Lee, on top of just being a good wrestler, like, he can crack. He hits pretty hard. And
yeah,
he was a big lightweight. And at 170, he might still be a tank. So yeah, man, this on paper, I don't think this looks good for Dos Anjos, but I'm holding on to the faith that he'll weather an early storm and he'll find a way to like edge out the last 3 rounds. But he also could get taken down and battered, and it could be one of those long, grueling fights for him.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand on this. Like, Kevin Lee is the exact type of wrestler who RDA struggled with in the past. Guys who are just redonkulously aggressive, will shoot takedowns for who has a really explosive shot. And we'll try to put him against the fence where the work is just easier. So Colby Covington did, so Kamaru Usman did, so Khabib Nurmagomedov did. To an extent, it's kind of what Tony did, except Tony was much more reliant on his kickboxing. And I really think this comes down to will Kevin Lee shoot often enough to get RDA down? Because if it's on the feet, I don't think he has what it takes to kickbox with RDA. Especially just like going back and watching that IL Quinta fight where he was just all over the place with his striking. Like, it was not great. He was really there for the counter, and RDA's become a better counter puncher. I don't know if he's got like Quinta's predilection for it, but I'm leaning RDA. But I can totally see Kevin Lee just going ridiculously hard and just like eking out a win, or even just running away with it, just like chasing takedowns. Like, it depends. Like, if RDA stuffs a takedown and gets the better of him on the feet, and like Kevin Lee just mentally shuts down and decides to kickbox with him like he did with Quinta, I can see RDA winning the fight. if Kevin Lee is able to get the takedown early and establish dominance from the top and attack RDA's body with ground and pound and stuff like that, I can see Lee just running away with it. Khabib style.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a good matchup though. I do like that matchup because you kind of just it's a hard one. That's a coin flip. We don't really know what's gonna happen in that one. So actually, real quick, there were two other notes of news I wanted to go through real quick, and then we'll get to like the three, I guess, kind of stories that broke. Real quick, minor note: Jose Aldo had a bacteria infection apparently in his knee, but he is still expected to fight Volkanovski at UFC 237 in May. So hopefully that doesn't become an issue. And then real quick, I forgot to mention that PFL revealed their 2019 roster. So obviously you're going to get your champions back. I don't have them all by name, but if they were champion, they're coming back. But the divisions that they're going to hold tournaments for will be featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. They're skipping over middleweight, so it's just going to be light heavyweight and heavyweight. And according to this article, at least the way it's worded, heavyweight is just going to be anything above 206.
As it should be.
Yeah, so that'll be a thing.
They got Goltsov.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the names they do have some interesting names in terms of like new challengers. So former UFC 205er, former prospect who nobody really talked about while he was in the UFC, Jordan Johnson. He went over. He's gonna be in PFL's 205 tournament. Ray Cooper III has a cousin named Zane Kamaka. So he will be in the welterweight tournament. There's some Brazilian prospect named Luis Rafael Lorento. Then other names I'm just going to throw out there. There are additional new people who will be fresh faces in the tournament. Denis Goltsov, Ante Deja, Ben Edwards, Victor Nemkov, David Machoud, Yinkang Bao, Loic Ratzabov, Nate Andrews, and Alex Gilpin. Or Glippin, probably saying that wrong. But anywho, there'll be some new faces at PFL's tournament. And, of course, we mentioned a couple episodes ago, they'll be on ESPN Plus also. So, Thursday nights, if you don't got nothing to do, go watch PFL. All right. So now to some headlines and things that broke during the week. So since you mentioned it, we'll start off. I don't even have this pulled up in front of me, but we'll start with T.J. Dillashaw and this bantamweight division that continues to somehow in a division so talented.
Winning the title's a fucking curse.
Yeah. So T.J. Dillashaw apparently had an quote unquote abnormality. I'm tired of seeing that word in 2019.
USADA is no longer beholden to us. They don't have to report anything. So,
yeah, Dillashaw had an abnormality in one of his tests. He took to Instagram to notify the fans, I guess, before USADA did their own little official announcement.
It's never good when you have to break out the Notepad app.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can either take this as he was being transparent or he was just trying to save face. But either way...
Ladder. It's ladder. The UFC went to him and said, we're either going to take the title or you're going to give it to us.
Yeah, so he handed it over without question. He let the fans know, hey, man, I got this thing in my test. As far as I know, though, they haven't reported on exactly what he, tested for. At least from nothing I've seen.
I don't think they have to anymore. I don't know what the New York State Athletic Commission's... I don't even know if they know. I don't even know if they know. And they probably just know that USADA found irregularity and tested, and they reported it to them. From what I can tell, it's probably a diuretic. Just because, the cut down to 125.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the, not consensus, but that seems to be what most people are thinking. In which case, Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. So, but I mean, obviously, big story because you got a champion who has to
We've been saying this for how many years now? Like, USADA's eventually going to take a title away from somebody. It just so happened to be TJ Dillashaw. It just so happened to pile on to what's probably going to be the worst year of his career.
Yeah, it's not looking too good. And I mean, on top of that, he got New York State Athletic Commission suspended him for a year. Obviously, no longer the champ. And now that just creates this creates more confusion because now we need to
There's
find a
no
new champ.
confusion anymore because Dana White came out and said last night it's more than likely going to be Henry Cejudo and Marlon Moraes for the bantamweight title, which I'm fine with. If that's the case, just get rid of flyweight, or at least book the champion at 125. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that whole 125, 135 picture is still just kind of
Murky.
Yeah, it's murky, it's foggy, it's still it's not all the way clear because we'll get to it later, but we had a flyweight fight on this card that you would think had like title implications, but who knows? Who knows who's fighting for what anymore?
I'm taking Joey's word on this because I didn't watch the press conference, but the plan is Cejudo versus Moraes at 135 next to fill in for the champion, and then have Formiga Benavidez as the number one contender fight for at 125.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, I think he did say that. I think I saw that. Somebody posted that too.
Which confuses the crap out of me because what if Cejudo wins?
Right. so do you just and I mean, to be honest, Cejudo Moraes, I think Moraes takes him. But in the event that Cejudo does win, that I think that kind of creates a problem. Because I know the UFC isn't just gonna gift, the winner of Formiga and Benavidez a belt just off the strength. And are you really going to make Cejudo go back down to defend the belt in a division that we're not even sure if you're keeping? So it's just...
I am, like, flyweight's done. Like, they keep booking these fights, and they're just going to keep cutting all these flyweights they don't want to keep for bantamweight. I think the only thing holding them up was... maybe not even holding them up, but just, like, that gave them a little bit of pause was the judge in their case... if you remember correctly, the judge in the antitrust suit lawsuit, I don't know why I said it like that, in the antitrust lawsuit, basically came out and said something along the lines of reprimanded them for the talk about cutting the flyweight division. Like, I don't know if that had any... I don't know if that's the thing that's holding anything up while they settle this lawsuit or whatever. From them being like officially like we're done, we're washing our hands of it. But I mean, it's as good an excuse for any as why they're drawing this out this long.
Yeah, I guess you can. You can't make it you can't do like the instant drop off. Like you can't just wake up tomorrow, do the Thanos snap, and be like, all right, all y'all out of here. So they're just doing like this gradual, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't like it. Whatever it is messy.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. They're just winging it at this point. But that we'll just have to see kind of how that all unfolds because it's we'll just have to see what happens. But this is why the whole double champ thing is like you have to reserve super fights for when they're like legit like super fights, quote unquote. Like if two guys have been cleaning out their division for years and there's like nobody else between them to fight, then it's cool. But in this day and age, it just kind of seems like we're doing it just to do it, and it leaves too much room for chaos.
I think they really thought I don't think they had like Joey said. I don't think they had an idea for what to do when Cejudo beat DJ, except that they didn't want to rebook DJ for a title fight. And then B, when Cejudo beat Dillashaw, I think they really thought Dillashaw was just gonna wash him, and they were gonna be able to market Dillashaw as a 2-division champion before just cutting the rest of the flyweight division. And now they're just kind of stuck.
Such is life. Such is life. But we'll keep an eye on that situation. Moving on. Let's talk about this ESPN Plus pay-per-view deal that's going on. So pretty much, I want to say effective pretty much like immediately, right? Because I think this takes place at the
next pay-per-view.
Yeah, the Holloway Poirier. So if you were really excited about that card, and you were thinking about throwing, your $60, $70 or whatever to, go pay for it, I mean, you can still do it, but you're gonna need ESPN Plus. That's the deal now.
Yep.
Pretty much the UFC pay-per-views will be exclusively done through ESPN Plus. Now, as far as I know from one of the articles I read, I think like restaurants and bars will still get like their licensing. So if you're somebody who likes to go out and watch fights, I think that'll still like be a thing. So if you're one of those people, you should be fine. But for everybody else,
I'm sorry, you should probably check with, I don't know who your provider is for these so apparently bars and restaurants, they buy the UFC product from this promotion called Johan Promotions, but they're a cable product. You know what I mean? Like they deal specifically with like TV pay-per-views and stuff. I don't know how that works with like ESPN Plus. Like these bars aren't going to have ESPN Plus accounts. You know what I mean?
right?
I mean, maybe some will, but I doubt. I can't even make up a fake one. But like, some small bar owner is gonna be like, I want to shell out $5 a month for this thing I barely understand to hook it up to my TV from 1985 or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So the pay-per-view events will still be, I think it's $60 each. And only ESPN Plus members will be able to purchase them. So, I mean, basically in a nutshell, man, they're kind of forcing you to, well, all right, so if you're a new ESPN Plus subscriber, you get 1 year of the service and a UFC pay-per-view for $80. I think it's kind of trash. I've been on ESPN Plus. I want a pay-per-view, but whatever. But basically, I just kind of feel like this is just kind of strong-arming people. I don't see the benefit outside of, like, on the UFC, I don't know the exact terms of the deal. I imagine they probably got paid from it.
The word is they are guaranteed, like they struck a deal where ESPN's going to guarantee them another $200 to $300 million.
Yeah.
Which basically puts their yearly revenue mark like at a guaranteed baseline of like $600 million.
Yeah,
and just for the record, like, there's only 2 teams in professional sports in the United States that make that money, and they're the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots.
So they're gonna be balling. They'll be balling.
So you guys should all sign your like if you're a UFC fighter, go sign your Project Spearhead union card because
they getting paid.
Yeah, no, this sport isn't new anymore.
Yeah, like they are getting paid, and fighters, I guarantee, are not going to be getting a lot of that revenue. And then I feel like it wasn't a coincidence that not too long after, I don't know if it happened after or maybe a couple days before, but Dana White announced he extended his presidency.
He got another 7 years,
yeah,
and a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah. So, yeah, but basically, man, if you're, it's really just kind of strong-arming people. Like, if you really want to buy pay-per-views, so first you have to pay for the ESPN Plus service on top of you then having to order the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So,
and just keep in mind, the record number of in like pay-per-views, like just straight up streaming pay-per-views the UFC's ever sold was for UFC 229, Nurmagomedov versus McGregor, and it was like 500,000. Like people don't pay for shit online.
Yeah, that was my question when this. Well, like I said, they obviously they're gonna get paid from this. They probably don't care, but that's what I was wondering is what are these pay-per-view numbers really now gonna look like? Like, are you ever gonna now see what cards that are strictly what pay-per-views that are strictly on ESPN Plus are gonna break 1 million buys or like a 1.5? Like nobody's.
Well, like so okay, I'll give them this. Like you didn't need UFC Fight Pass to buy pay-per-views on UFC.tv for that 500 million whatever, but like where it is, like the Fight Pass at its highest was like 400,000 people paying for it. And we know ESPN's come out and said like they have like 2 million plus subscribers now. So in theory, and the biggest I'm sorry, the biggest enrollment factor for ESPN so far has been the UFC and boxing. So we know that they have a bigger base to build from, to bilk. But like, even then, they're mostly people like us who understand that you don't need to pay for a pay-per-view to see a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Alternative methods are very real.
Yeah. Like, you know, they're the people who are like $15 for Fight Pass is too rich for my blood, but $5 for, you know, 28 cards and like 30 prelims or 10 prelims, you know, a gold buy for me.
And then I also, to me, like I said, if you're a fan, this sucks all the way around. Like, this doesn't almost even make sense because it's like, if you're, especially I feel like for the casual fan, y'all, the casuals, which are, you know, we like to think the hardcores make up most of the audience, but that couldn't be far from the truth. The casuals are where they make their bread and butter. Let's say you're a casual fan and you had Fight Pass. All right, cool. I'm, you know, throwing out $9.99 a month, whatever. It is what it is. Now you're taking away the pay-per-views from Fight Pass. And I'd imagine if you're a casual who has Fight Pass, I don't imagine you're probably going out of your way like every day, like, yo, let me watch this Invicta card, let me watch this Glory card. Like, you probably don't really care too much of else what's going on that site other than, like, the main UFC content. So now you take away pay-per-views, and it's kind of like, well, what do I even have this for now?
I mean, I got rid of Fight Pass. Like,
it's like, I keep it because I do, like, on nights when I'm just, like, bored, or days when I'm not doing anything, I'll just hop on Fight Pass. I'll just, like, I think, like, the other weekend I randomly just threw on a Pancreas card. just watch people get beat up. It was a good time. But, like, I know the majority of the audience isn't me. Like, if they don't have, like, a big fight to watch, or there's nothing really huge, you know, upcoming on the horizon, then you're not really rushing to open your Fight Pass app. And now that they're taking off pay-per-views, like, what does this even mean for the future of Fight Pass? Like, are we just going to keep it? Are they really just going to keep it for all these little other... Because, like, all of the other content, I think, is, like, really dope. Like, you get a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff, thousands of other promotions. They added the Muay Thai this year. You got Karate Combat. Like, there's a lot of good things on there, but you just took away, like, one of the biggest, you know, pay-per-view. That's supposed to be, like, the creme de la creme. And it's on, like, it doesn't make sense, like, it's on your site. This is your UFC thing. And I can't order a UFC pay-per-view on, like, a UFC app. Like, that's crazy. Like, that just doesn't even...
right. I know. You know what this does, though? It puts the onus on ESPN to turn UFC fighters into pay-per-view draws. Because they're the ones who are going to take the hit from the sound of it. Like, the UFC is going to make, like, from what I can understand, like, if that $200 to $300 million, like, guaranteed payment is correct, the UFC is going to make money like, The UFC is going to make as much money as if they sold like 3 to 4 million pay-per-views. So something crazy like that. You know what I mean?
All right.
So like, they're guaranteed that a year. That's income. That's just straight up income. They don't have to split it with nobody. They're not like with a cable company or anything. So right off the bat, it's better than it's been before. Like, to break even, ESPN needs to sell about, not even to break even, just to make, like, because they apparently ESPN's not, apparently the way it's set up is ESPN won't make any money until it hits a certain number, and then they get a cut after that number. That might be, like, I don't know if that's like the structure of their deal, where like, oh, we'll set the price for these UFC pay-per-views, and if you sell, and we'll give you like $200 million worth of like front revenue. So like, if all your pay-per-views on our app sell $200 million, that's all yours. But every $1 million after that, we get half. You know?
Right.
Like, I don't know if that's the setup or if they were just like, here's $200 million for the rights to air your pay-per-view, and then like take a cut after that. I don't know if that's the ding. Like, but yeah, like, if you're a consumer, this sucks ass.
Yeah. There's really no way around it. Like, I don't really see any benefit we really get from this. Like, this isn't a very like customer friendly move that they made. But I don't know. UFC going to UFC.
Like, I can't even blame the UFC. Like, they're guaranteed like,
on their end, like you got the bag. Like
this, like ESPN, like they took the WWE model and were just like, they left out the best part, which is you get the pay-per-view.
Right, as a part of your monthly.
Yeah, so like, if they had just bumped it up like $5-10, that would have been fine. I was like, oh, it's the price of Fight Pass, but I get all this pay-per-view content.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like,
perfect, awesome. Just update the interface and like, it's just as good as Fight Pass, but no, like, it's garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna be really anxiously watching, and I'm not even a guy who really like cares about numbers all that much. But I'm gonna keep my eye on that Poirier Holloway, on what those numbers are gonna look like.
But the only way we're ever gonna get them is if we get them directly from ESPN.
Yeah, and they don't.
They won't give it to us if it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that.
Or like an investor meeting or conference or whatever.
Right. But speaking of other streaming services, ESPN Plus ain't the only one who been in the news
for some tomfoolery.
Yeah, the DAZN is out here trying to roll one over on us. So DAZN is gonna be making some price changes. So if you're like me and you already do have DAZN and you're on the $9.99 a month, I would advise you go check your email box. They probably sent you a little message like they did me the other day, basically saying if you're on the $9.99 a month plan, you're cool for now. You can keep your $9.99 a month plan until about March 2020, and then you're gonna have to make some decisions. So DAZN is gonna be changing the price. Basically, you'll have two options. You can do a $19.99 a month, which have fun with that. Or you can do
$240 a year.
Yeah. Or you can do the $99.99 annual pass, which according to them, that math breaks down to about $8.50 a month, if you were to do the math. Now I'm not gonna lie, like from their end, I kind of understand, at least the way they explained it, what they were going for. So basically, from my understanding of this is their mindset was, most of the people who pay for DAZN either fall in two categories. You're either like the hardcore fan and you're watching You're watching MMA, you're watching Bellator, you're watching boxing. You'll be watching all the Canelo fights, all that good stuff. Or you fall in the other category of, I really only come to DAZN when there's like a big pay-per-view I want to see, and I just sign up for the pay-per-view, and then after that, I get rid of my service. So their mindset was, we charge the $19.99 a month for those people because if it's still better you pay $19.99 for this one pay-per-view that you really want to watch when you're going to cancel afterwards anyway, than you ordering like a $60 pay-per-view when you can just So instead of paying like $60, $70 for the Canelo fight, just come to DAZN, watch it for $19.99, then cancel your subscription. We'll send you on your way. And then the $99.99, I guess they're just trying to sell the math. If you really do the math, it's technically like cheaper than Fight Pass. I would almost be cool with this if DAZN was more, what's the word? I think you said it. Like we kind of talked about this before we started recording.
Like their schedule's just really empty.
Yeah, like the zone to me isn't like, it's not a content problem because they have, like, you have Bellator, you have KSW. I think they added Road FC, and then obviously you're starting to get you're getting the big time boxers. You're getting Canelo. You're getting
like they have like half the pound for pound best fighters on the planet right now.
So it's not that they don't have like good content. It's that I don't want to pay. I'm definitely not paying $19.99 a month. You can get that out of here. But I don't even know if I want to pay the $99.99 annual pass when really I'm only going to be using this like every few. It's not like the UFC where, at least like you can say with the UFC, even with the ESPN Plus deal, as much as we don't really care for it, there are fights all the time. Like almost every week, somebody's getting punched in the face.
Well, it's not even that there are fights. There are consequential fights like all the time,
right.
And that's in part because the UFC is like a monopoly, and like they have a roster deep enough to where they can at least put one or two really good fights on a card every week if they need to. And then they have the whole deal where like they put some of their prelims on there. But like the zone spends like $100 million plus on 3 fighters. Like in one division. Like so you got Canelo, you have Gennady Golovkin, and you have Danny Jacobs, and together they're going to make over $100 million this year. Like, where's the budget for the rest of the year?
Right.
That's the budget for all of the ESPN Plus cards put together, with enough left over to buy you a house in like like in LA, like downtown LA, like nice LA.
And even between those 3 fighters, like, how many times are we going to see them a year?
Exactly. You're going to see them twice. Right. And a lot of times it's going to be against each other, hopefully. Like, because that's the plan. So, Canelo and Danny Jacobs are going to fight in May. What am I doing till then with the zone?
Right. Because...
like, I'm looking at their April schedule right now. Well, April's actually pretty good. They have Sorong Vasai versus Francisco Estrada on April 26th. But like Jamie Munguia is gonna fight Dennis Hogan on April 13th. Like, what am I doing with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
there's not enough.
Like, what has DAZN done for us in March? Because there was the Katie Taylor fight, and Tevin Farmer fought on the card, and Liam Smith is going to fight Sam Eggington next week. But and
we both almost skipped over the Bellator card because we didn't even know it was.
Yeah. Like we both forgot.
Yeah.
Like
if Twitter didn't exist,
And like, here's the thing: I could have stayed home. Like, I was out Friday night. I could have stayed home and watched it if I wanted to, though, on TV.
Right.
Because it wasn't. I don't think it was exclusive.
Yeah, I think it was on Paramount.
Bellator's only giving them like 7 exclusives a year. So it's not even like there's a Bellator card every month.
Yeah, so it's not. I like I said, I understand what their reasoning was, but I don't know if they have enough content like right now, or at least like enough of a good schedule to kind of justify the move.
Like, if they had like Pancrase and like a whole bunch of like small promotions that they could get on the cheap, like a Fight Pass, like maybe. Because like I like KFC, not KFC, I like KSW, I like KSW, and I like I'm sorry, Road FC. But like those are those are two promotions that run like a premium schedule. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're not out here every week. I mean, their next card's not Road FC's next card's not till May.
Oof. And KSW just had a card this weekend.
Yeah, like KSW will run a card like every month and a half, maybe, like on good years. But like they're also a promotion. They run like every other month, maybe.
Oh, and I forgot to mention about the DAZN changes. By the time you guys hear this episode, the change start Monday. So
Yeah.
by the time you guys hear this episode, the change already happened. The price change is already a thing. So like I said, if you're at the $9.99 already, then you're cool. You can just keep that for a year. If you don't have that, you got some decisions to
Right,
to
right.
make.
Like and like me and you, we watch regional MMA when we can,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't watch a whole lot of like, oh, here's a 5-0 boxer who, is coming up and he's trained by Virgil Hunter or something. Like, I don't know a lot of these dudes unless they're like Olympians or like world amateur champions or something, and like I hear a little bit of buzz behind them. Like I don't like I'm not out here looking for the next Terrence Crawford. Like, so a card like Liam Smith versus Sam Eggington doesn't do much for me.
Yeah. So it's it's so weird. Shout out to my homie Davon. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, we all left cable. I assume most of us did, because cable got so expensive, and it wasn't really worth it because you were paying like hundreds of dollars a month, and you really only watched like 2 channels. So streaming at first was like this really great thing, but now if you think about it, just add up all of the bills of all of the streaming services that you're paying for, and it's almost like it's like cable all over again. Like all these little quote unquote cheaper streaming services are just adding up. If you're somebody who
I'm just waiting on that bundle service because it's coming.
That's gonna have to be like the next the next step. Because like if you're somebody if you have like Fight Pass, DAZN, and let's just say hypothetically you actually like you pay for all these, you're not like mooching off somebody's account. So like you pay for like Netflix, Hulu, DAZN, Fight Pass, ESPN Plus. These bills are adding up. They're adding up quick. And then like this whole like Disney streaming, that's gonna be a thing eventually.
It's gonna be a big thing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling too good about. I don't mind paying for things because I'm a person who just kind of enjoys convenience. Like I like the fact that if I miss this card, I can just hop on DAZN and go back and watch a replay. I don't have to scour the earth for my alternative methods. I know where it is. I can just go find it and just watch it whenever I have the time to. But eventually I might have to make some cuts. Like I don't know. I'll keep my $9.99 for the year. I'll keep it. But after that, I don't know, man. It might be unless DAZN makes some crazy moves between now and then. I think if DAZN would have got one, I'd have liked it a lot more. But
yeah, I'm surprised they didn't like. Maybe one was just like we want a real TV deal, despite the fact that they don't really have a real TV deal.
Have fun with that 3 a.m. slot.
They have like the infomercial deal where like Bleacher Report's like we'll put your pay-per-views on our website, but you have to be at TNT at like 2 in the morning.
So, oh no! If the zone would have snagged up like one championship, because I love watching one, man. One card is always fun. I mean, the time zone obviously is a difference. I never really get to. Some I have to sneak and watch them at work, but like I always really enjoy watching one card. So if they were to like somehow snag up one between now and next year, which probably won't happen, but you know, I'd shell out money for that. But
Or PFL.
yeah, but well, PFL gonna be. I feel like PFL. There's no way they're leaving the ESPN brand. Like that's too big of a.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I think they're gonna stay there as long as they can.
Like just something to fill out the schedule that isn't all these big tempo events.
Because at least with one, like, even with the one cards, I don't really know everybody who's fighting, especially since they started really adding in like the tie fights. But it does seem now that they're more active. Like I get notifications on my app all the time from one about one championship, Beijing coming up in a week, so on and so forth. So yeah, the zone just needs some more. They need some more meat on the bones.
It doesn't even have to be like big meat. It's just like, dude, like give me something for my money.
If I'm doing an annual pass of $99 a year, somebody needs to get punched in the face way more often.
Go get LFA.
That would be good.
Like you could probably get them on the cheap. I don't know what Access is paying them, but
that would be good. That would be good. I would pay for that.
And you get a card like every week or two.
LFA got cards too often. LFA's on their 60-second card. They only been around for 2 years. LFA drop fights as much as we drop podcast episodes. Like LFA is crazy, but yeah, man. If the zone got LFA in one, I'm all for it. You got my money because that's output. But yeah, as of now, man, between ESPN Plus and the zone, I don't know. I'm not really too thrilled about either of these decisions, but we'll see what happens. So that was our long news and notes spiel, but like I said, not a ton in terms of quantity, in terms of news and notes, but a lot of these were just kind of heavy, so we had to kind of expand on them. So we'll talk about some fights real quick. I'm gonna breeze through like 2 cards, really 3, because Bellator's gonna be a breeze too, and then we can briefly.
I feel bad because like I feel like we have to make a conscious effort to remember there's Bellator that week.
Well, I mean, to be honest, man, to throw us a bone, this card wasn't really all that like.
I mean, they rarely ever are. Like they have
this
not
was
like
in Thackerville.
Thackerville.
Shout outs to Thackerville.
But like Bellator, like I don't enjoy watching the Roy Nelsons and the Matt Mitriones of the world fight anymore. And I get why they did it. So I was listening to the Show Money podcast this week at Bloody Elbow. So you got your was it John Nash and what's the other dude's name? Is it Paul Gift? And they were out there talking they were talking about the Bellator DAZN deal, and apparently DAZN has made Bellator actually profitable, like not by a whole bunch, but like they're breaking even, and like at least half of their revenue is coming from DAZN. Like they're getting over $30 million from them for the year, which is really good. But like a huge part of that was DAZN's like officers were impressed with like the names like Rampage Jackson, Matt Mitrione, and Fedor and Ryan Bader, and like these guys who have like the UFC credentials and Pride credentials and like a strong enough fan bases that they might be able to carry maybe a few fans and a few advertisers and stuff. Because like a lot of these guys have relationships with like actual like sponsors as opposed to I don't know, like a Brent Primus or something. You know what I mean? So like I get why they signed these guys, but it'd be nice if they signed them in the divisions that were actually like good. Like, And and there's not a whole bunch of talent out there right now. The UFC has a very close. They're keeping all their contracts close to the chest. They're re-signing dudes hella early, or throwing good money at them, or better money than Bellator could probably throw at them because like they got all these dates to fill. And you let Cub Swanson walk, and that's one less co-main event main card fighter you got.
Holly Holmes like a 6-fight deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like these are people you got to keep around because you got to fill out dates until you got somebody who has the cachet to replace them. But like they really got to start making like goes at like they need a lightweight division. You know what I mean? Like because currently all they have really is like welterweight and 205 and featherweight. And that's not enough to because their 205 division is still just like it's Phil Davis.
I think they're
King
struggling
Mo.
with and I've given them praise. Like I do think overall the fighters that they're bringing in are better than what they have been, but like they don't have as many. Like every so often, it seems in the UFC, you get a guy like a Petr Yan or a Weili Zhang that comes in. You get somebody that you can look at and it's like, oh, that's next up. Like this is going to be the next guy we need to look out for. This is the next woman we need to look out for. And Bellator doesn't have as many of those. Like
they're probably like what Bjorn Rebney did was he was amazing at just going and finding talent. And that's how we have the Pitbull brothers. And that's how we have like Michael Chandler. And that's how we have Pat Curran.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like Scott Coker is more like I want NCAA wrestlers. I want certain guys who have a certain amount of drawing power. And or I want like the Taekwondo woman who they just had. Like that was a good signing. Like don't get me wrong, but like we need some grassroots recruiting here.
I mean, it is probably hard because the UFC probably has their eyes to the ground,
And yeah, like the UFC signing guys who are like 4-0, like Luis Pena got to.
So you're probably, if you're Bellator, you really have to have your guys' eyes on the ground. Like you got to snatch these guys up either before the UFC gets to them, or maybe you're lucky and you find a gem that like the UFC happen to overlook, or just I don't know, you sign some random champ from another organization and just hope he pans out.
There's a reason like they're in like Israel, you know what I mean? In Italy, looking for.
They're not getting the first pick of the list.
Shouts to Olga Rubin, but there's a reason she got signed and like Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer are currently in the UFC.
Oh, I guess since we're already on Bellator, well, I'll just start with this. Like I said, well, I'll kind of just run through this because I only watched 2 fights, and I don't remember them in like a super ton of detail, but I'll mention the card because it did happen. So shout out to Thackerville, Oklahoma. That was the home of Bellator 218. It was headlined with a rematch of Emmanuel Sanchez and Georgie Karakhanyan, who was actually making his return to Bellator. It was a pretty fun 3-rounder. Not anything like too crazy happened, but it was a decent fight. Emmanuel Sanchez ended up winning via unanimous decision. I want to say I gave Sanchez the first, Georgie the second, Sanchez the third. Can't really remember. But no, it was a decent fight. If there were any fights to go back and watch, this was a decent one. So give that a look. The co-main event was Valentin Moldavsky versus Linton Vassell. Linton Vassell actually moved up to heavyweight, but he ended up losing a unanimous decision, 29-27 across the board, it looks like. Then we had Norbert Novigny Jr. versus William Levine. Norbert won via submission, head arm choke in round 2. And then the last fight, at least on the main card, was Anatoly Tokov versus Gerald Harris. This was actually a wild fight. If there's any fight you go back and watch, definitely go back and watch this one. Gerald Harris had a nice, he faked a takedown with his right to like pick at Tokov's leg, and then came over with the left and slumped Tokov. landed some really nasty ground and pound. It looked like the fight was going to get stopped, but the ref let him keep going. And then Tokov somehow in the second round, like, came back, had his wits about him, and ended up getting a guillotine choke after that crazy first round that he had to come back and survive from. So, if there's one fight you go back and watch on Bellator 218, go back and watch that. And then also on the undercard, Tokov's brother, Vladimir, won his fight against a gentleman named Ryan Walker via unanimous decision. I didn't get a chance to watch that though. But I mean, you know, if you have the zone, you can go back and go check out all these fights. Everything's on the zone. So that was Bellator.
It's also on their app.
Oh yeah,
The
it's
Bellator
also
app.
on the app. Yeah, the app's probably better because they split up the fights. So yeah.
That is
Yeah,
free.
that too. Yeah, so yeah, go watch these on the Bellator app, or the website.
Or their website.
That was Bellator 218. Quick shout outs to LFA. LFA 62 went down on Friday night. They now have their first ever 2-weight champion. So shout outs to Casey Kenny. He kneed Vince Cachero into another world on Friday night. So he is now, I want to say, the interim flyweight and bantamweight champion. Casey Kenny is 11-1-1, and like I said, he kneed Vince Cachero into another world. So shout outs to him. That's on Access TV. If you have Sling TV like I do, you can go back and go check those out. Other fights: Levy Miles defeated Ahmet Carriet via submission. Ramiz Brahmahaj defeated Carlos Martinez via submission. Cody Freeman defeated Fernie Garcia split decision. Austin Ligo defeated Angel Cruz via submission, and Vanessa Demopoulos defeated Valerie Soto via majority decision. And then quick mentions of KSW. Philip DeFries headline against Thomas Narkin. He won a 5-round decision. In the co-main event, Pudzil fought Simon Kalecki. It's the battle of just the two biggest men on the planet for no reason. Puds caught the L though. I didn't watch this fight, but apparently he lost via TKO, via an injury. I gotta go back and watch that just because it was a Puds fight. Norman Park was on the card. He defeated Boris Minkowski.
We started one soccer class in a child care center. Today we're in...
He defeated Fernando Rodriguez Jr. via split decision. So those were just some other fights that happened during the week. And I guess real quick before we start, Pettis Thompson, Mikey Garcia and the Errol Spence fight was last week, but it happened like literally while we were recording, so we couldn't really comment on it. But not really a ton to break down in that fight. Like Garcia didn't really have anything for Spence. Like after a couple feel out rounds, I feel like by like round 6, Spence was just kind of just walking him down and just kind of beating him up. And Mikey Garcia kept doing this fist pump after every round like he won. But Spence was clearly giving him the works. I don't think he ever like rocked him, I want to say. But he beat him up. Like it was just one of those fights where you see like it's levels to this. It was one of those fights where he just kind of beat Garcia up. By like round 8 or 9, it was like, wow, I don't even know why we're even doing this anymore. Like, I think the only reason the fight kept going is because, like I said, I don't think Spence ever really, like, rocked him. But it was clear that Garcia wasn't winning the fight.
When the one guy lands literally 6 times as many punches as the other guy, you should probably stop the fight.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah. Spence.
Because I want to say the punch differential was something like 60 to 360 something. So
I wouldn't doubt it. Spence, the later in that fight, the Spence just started to get real busy, and Garcia was just
there.
Yeah, he was just there. He was just there to be hit. That was pretty much how that fight went. So I don't know. Maybe we're one step closer to Spence Crawford. You know, maybe. I don't know. But I love watching Spence fight.
So apparently, the plan going into the night was apparently Spence Pacquiao, should he win. But apparently I'm assuming the blowback for asking for $75 for this fight and the undercard was so bad that they were like, you know what, we're gonna put him in there with Sean Porter instead, and we're gonna do like Keith Thurman versus it might have been Thurman Pacquiao. Let's see, it was Thurman.
Anything not Spence Pacquiao, I guess I'm happy for. I do not want to see Spence and Manny.
I mean, like, what the hell? Who was it? There's been one good pay-per-view fight this year, and it involved Tyson Fury. And if you're a boxing fan, like, come on.
Yeah. Shout out to anybody who paid $70 for that, boy. What's his name was on that card though? Was Benavidez? Was that the same card?
That was the David Benavidez beatdown.
Yeah. Shout out to him. He beat the bricks off whoever it was that he fought.
Julian Love.
Yeah, he boxed his face off. Shout out to Benavidez. I like him. The man of the 90 hit like Killer Instinct Ultra Combo KO. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how these fights shake out. But I just don't want to see Spence Pacquiao. I don't want that on my screen. Keep that far away from me. But that was boxing. Quick callback to that. So we can now move on to the main event of the evening, UFC Fight Night Nashville. Wonderboy Thompson versus Showtime Pettis. This went down on Saturday night. Once again, ending at a very respectable time. This card was over by like 10. It was awesome. I'm gonna say that like every episode because I just really appreciate it. So we will just start from the top. Headliner man, Pettis, Wonderboy.
Anthony Pettis an apology.
Do we? No, because I don't think the complaints, or at least on my end, my complaints about this fight wasn't so much that like I hate Pettis or I think he's gonna die. My complaint about this fight was just like why is this a thing? Like, like I don't know what this fight even really means. Like I've been joking all week that this was a fight that only these two wanted to happen, and we just kind of got forced to watch it. So I don't know. Maybe on that end I do owe a little bit of an apology because it ended in a way that I don't think any of us saw coming. My vision for this fight was if Pettis was gonna win, it would be because this fight would be like one of those staring contests, a la Wonderboy until, and Pettis would just throw more and he would win. But nah, that's not what happened. I mean, Wonderboy started out pretty good. He was busting Pettis up with the jab. He was landing good combinations. Because Pettis' head is just kind of straight in the air. He was kind of just there to be hit. Obviously Thompson with the karate style, a lot of kicks, side kicks, leg kicks, head kick every, occasional now and then. And I thought Pettis did though. I like that he was keeping pressure. Because more often than not, we see Pettis be the one with his back against the fence, and those kind of fights never really go well for him. So I like that he was just attempting to be more active. And I thought with all the leg kicks that Pettis was landing, like my thought process was, he's gonna throw a lot of leg kicks, and then by like round, maybe like the tail end of round 3 to the rest of the fight, he'll get more active because Thompson will maybe just slow down from the leg kicks. He won't be able to be as mobile. But Pettis was kind of getting busted up a little bit. Like he was catching combinations, and then the second round to me was kind of, from what I remember, going pretty much the same way. Pettis did start to land a bit more. I remember he caught Wonderboy with a nice right hand, but he still, outside of his leg kicks, wasn't landing anything crazy substantial. He was just keeping a lot of pressure on Wonderboy. And to me, it looked like he was going to get pieced to a decision. Like Thompson would just kind of box him up from the outside and just keep doing this for 5 rounds. But I think the one thing that kind of gave me hope for Pettis was that as much as he was getting hit, I never got the sense that he was like rocked or like really, really hurt. So I was like, maybe he just kind of needs an opportunity to just have a moment and just capitalize on it. And boy, did he get that. His corners were telling him that like every time Wonderboy throws a kick, you need to counter with a kick. And he did a good job of that. And another thing with Wonderboy, with that, you know, his karate style, his hands are just kind of by the waist-side. He doesn't throw a jab and then bring his hand like back to his face or throw a kick and, you know,
Right.
his hands are just kind of down there. So like in a way, that Superman punch was kind of genius because Wonderboy throws his side kick and they're like, Pettis has his back against the fence. So he gets pushed back from the side kick and he like propels himself with the momentum and just jumps back forward to the Superman punch. And you can kind of tell if you watch like the replay, the look on Wonderboy's face, he was not ready for that counter. I mean, for one, he was in awful position because his hands were completely down by his waist. And his only line, I can't even say he had a line of defense. He was just there to be hit. Like, his hands were down to the side, and even though he was off sideways, it's not like he really had his chin tucked in. So Pettis just was able to just explode into this Superman punch. And Thompson just died. Like, there was ground and pound that followed, but it did need to happen because, I mean, he caught the Superman punch. I think his feet were off the floor for a second. His head bounced off the canvas. It's weird that in the past, 2 weekends, we've had 2 lightweights come up and take out 2 welterweights. Both by knockout. Long live Strikeforce. Long live WEC. The lightweights are the greatest division because they go up to other divisions and they still knock people out.
Yeah. It's pretty clear, like the talent gap at 170 and 155 is basically just the guys who can wrestle are the guys like who win. At like the welterweights actually beat the like lightweights. Because that like okay, it's clear that the striking is not as different as we perceived in the past. Like, it's not a question about whether a lightweight can take a punch at 170. I think Pettis I think those leg kicks and those body kicks were not. I don't think the word is hurting, but I think they were getting to Wonderboy way more than we thought. Like, at some point in the early part of the second round, the like he went to go check one of Pettis' kicks. It was the exact same motion he had for when because they were both in the air on that Superman punch. Like, it looked like Wonderboy was anticipating a leg kick and went to go check it with his lead leg, which would be his right leg from southpaw. And instead of a leg kick, he just ate the right hit. He ended up being that Superman punch. And it was the same motion on a leg kick that he had checked earlier in the round. So I think that's where that I'm not going to say that was like a game plan thing or anything like that, but I think that was a read that Pettis made, and he thought that opening might be there. It's not like he walked to the corner and expected to get, you know, spinning back kicked into the cage and then propel that into this thing. It's just like, it was just like a situational thing. Read.
Yeah.
This fight made me think for real quick, and I'm like, okay, where, like,
What happens?
no, like, well, that too, but like, I'm thinking, like, in terms of just like welterweight, like, who's the next best kickboxer in this division? And like, it's like Ponzinibbio, who, for the most part, who is much more of a boxer than he is a kickboxer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you think about it, there are plenty of dudes who are like good kickers. Like, you know, Tyron Woodley's a good kicker. When he wants to be, Darren Till could be a pretty effective kicker. But like, I wouldn't label them kickboxers, right? Like, it made me okay. Thompson's never had to deal with somebody who's just like a fundamentally knowledgeable kickboxer who follows a kickboxing game plan like Anthony Pettis does. Like nobody who's going to kick him to the body every chance he gets, or kick to that lead knee with the or I should say lead outside thigh, inside thigh, like Pettis was doing. Like it makes me really wish we could get Douglas Lima versus Wonderboy, because I think it's a fight Lima could actually win.
Yeah. And I don't remember, I can't think of many fighters who really kind of like put the pressure on Thompson, like who just didn't. I mean, he gave him space to operate because it's not like Thompson wasn't landing, but he didn't really he never cowered up and
Yeah,
he was consistently pushing forward and making an effort to bring the fight to Wonderboy. So Wonderboy couldn't get too relaxed and start, the Tekken combos he can get off.
right. And a huge part of that is just and for all of Anthony Pettis' faults, going forward has never been one of them. Like he is really good when you give him the space to move forward and walk you down. That's how he wins most of his fights. That or being really explosive and really dynamic at moments where the way he expects it, like he was at the end here. But he will walk down people with the best of anybody. He did the same damn thing to Tony Ferguson. But at welterweight, I'm thinking I'm looking at Wonderboy's resume, and it's okay, Jorge Masvidal is a guy who can walk people down, but he's not very good at cutting them off. And he's not much of a kicker, and there are just fights where he just shuts down, and he's just he's content to be in open space. Then there's Woodley, who fights with his back to the cage. Then there's Roy McDonald, who was coming off that broken nose. And then there's Johnny Hendricks, who is aggressive, but is also really small, or I should say short, and is almost exclusively a boxer, a pocket boxer at that. Then you have Jake Ellenberger, who, that's a whole other story on its own. And then it's Patrick Cote and early career Robert Whittaker, who we can safely say was weight drained fighting at welterweight.
All right.
So this might be the first time in his entire career he's fought an actually an AG actually good kickboxer. Even going back to his kickboxing career, because his kickboxing career was mostly just dudes from Georgia. So it was an interesting dynamic because the defense was just not there, and we're used to him not he gets hit, he gets dropped, and he's been dropped in 5 of his last 6 fights or whatever, but we're not used to him getting hit every minute of every round.
Right.
He's normally able to just get out the way because the other guy's not as mobile as he is. But Pettis was. So props to him.
Yeah, man. He
called his shot, man. Like I said, I don't think most people expected him not to win this fight. My main takeaway was I am ridiculously surprised and impressed that Pettis won this fight, but I'm kind of not surprised that this is the way he won it in.
I did not see the Superman punch from God. I wasn't ready for that. Nah, man, Pettis is still out here. Still got, some left in the tank.
He's officially the best striker at 170. It's amazing.
Still gets hit a little too much. But hey, man, I guess if you can take it, you can dish it. And he definitely dished it. Yeah, that was crazy. That was as wild and just bizarre as this matchup was. It's almost fitting that it ended this way. It did. It had to. It had to be shenanigans at the end because this fight was just too weird for something crazy not to happen. And then it's weird because what do you do next with Pettis? Because you just came up to welterweight and you just knocked out. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Wonderboy was top 5.
Number 4.
Yeah. So I know he mentioned the RDA fight, which I wouldn't mind seeing at 170.
But RDA,
But I feel like a lot of the
RDA's got a fight booked. How about Jorge Masvidal?
I was gonna say a lot of the top guys, you could either give them Jorge, but I want to see the Jorge Leon because I feel like that, you know.
I mean, let's be real. All the contenders in this division are lightweights.
So, all right, let's just say, all right, so our RDA has a fight book. He's doing the Kevin Lee thing. But then, really, though, he could realistically get the winner of that fight because Kevin Lee and RDA is in May. And, Pettis did get busted up a little bit in this fight. So you probably need, a little time to heal and then you get back in the gym. But that timing could work depending on how that fight goes between RDA and Lee. So I'd either say, like, the winner of that or is Pons? He has a fight book, right?
No, he matter of fact, he was calling out RDA, but RDA ended up Kevin Lee, so why not do that?
Oh, yeah. I would say, yeah, if you don't want the winner of RDA Lee, I'm down for Pettis and Pons. Definitely down for Pettis and Pons. Or Pettis Zaleski. I'd be down with that if that could be a thing. Because Zaleski took no damage in his last fight.
Oh, Pettis Lawler, there we go.
Yeah. So he has some options. If he wants to stay at 170. And the thing with like all of those fights is, if you do Pettis Lawler, Pettis Pons, Pettis Zaleski, these are all like the violent weight people. So like he's just gonna get to go in there and just kind of throw, and we just kind of just see what happens. But nah, that's great for Pettis, man. Like for a guy who like after he lost his belt, his career just kind of went in this really weird direction. He's found a way to like keep himself afloat.
I mean, if you're not gonna fight for the title, yeah, I guess the next best thing is just to be interesting, right?
Right. I mean, there's nothing else you can. There's nothing else you can ask for. Like, put on just fun. Just be that guy who puts on fun fights.
And he's been doing it.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, he hasn't even looked bad in the like he looked bad against Poirier for a little bit at the end, but like ever since coming back, like his last 3 fights have been the Chiesa fight, the Ferguson fight, and then this one. Like he's looked good in all of them.
Yeah. He's shown that he has more in the tank than people have been giving him credit for.
Right. So if he's gonna stay at 170, make the fun fights. If he goes back down to 155, though, I want the Aldo fight.
Yeah. Listen, man. Aldo, I'm pretty sure like after this year he's done. And it's weird because I feel like both of them are in similar spots where somewhat similar. Like Aldo lost his belt, even though Aldo's still like fighting like contenders. But really you can say that for Pettis because it's not like Wonderboy wasn't a top guy. So they're both in that spot where they both lost their belts, but they're still both putting on fun fights and apparently just knocking people out or stopping them one way or another. We got to get that fight before it's all over. Like if that's the last fight that Pettis has at 155, let it be the Aldo fight. We all deserve that. But nah, man, great win for Pettis. That was an amazing knockout. For Wonderboy, boy, that's yikes. Yeah.
I can't stress this enough. This is a straight up brilliant performance from Pettis. Yeah. Like this was probably as good as he was ever going to perform against a Wonderboy.
Maybe we do owe him an apology. Maybe we do. He really showed out. He really showed out. So shout outs to Pettis, man. Shout outs to Pettis.
If you guys are wondering why we're spending so much time on this fight, it's because the next 2, 3 are not good.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say a lot of these fights, man. Like there was things that happened, but like it's not a lot to really.
Did things happen though? Did they really?
All right, let's move it on down. We'll get through these.
I feel like nothing happened.
Co-main event, Curtis Blades versus Justin Willis. This fight went pretty much the way I thought, other than, to be honest, I thought Blades was going to finish him. I was hoping he would.
Man, Willis is too round. You can't take a round man down and then like ground and pound him to victory. Like you gotta knock him out if you wanna beat him.
Yeah, this fight was Justin Willis fighting somebody who could do everything he could do times like 4. Yeah, Blades.
Leaned on him.
Yeah, he big brothered him. Blades rocked Willis with a right hand, made him do the James Brown spin.
Had his
Blades
eyes bulging out of his head after the first round. They just had a shot of him.
Right.
And he was just like, what the hell am I doing?
And like Blades repeatedly just slammed him, picked him up, threw him to the ground, just super big brother, little brother treatment. You know, ground and pound. It wasn't, well, that right hand was the hardest shot in the whole fight. The ground and pound was just kind of like, you know, I'm just kind of beating up on you. But, like, Willis offered nothing, pretty much. Like, the scores were 30-27, 30-26, 30-25. Yeah, it's not really a lot to dissect. Like, outside of that hard right hand that Blades landed, it was pretty much Blades taking Willis down, landing ground and pound, wearing on him, and Willis not offering any form of, you know, resistance, pretty much. He got big brother.
He talked some smack.
He did. It didn't help.
Nah.
It might have helped his pride, I guess, but pride don't get you points on the scorecard. So.
The best part of this fight was friggin' Blades. What did he scream?
He said, "Big titties go home." Or
Big
something.
titties go home. Work on your wrestling. Into the microphone that was being held by Willis's wrestling coach, who is Daniel Cormier.
Yeah. Yeah. That was Yeah, that was pretty much that fight. To be honest, like I said, it's not a ton to really dissect. Blades just big brothered him. I mean, good on Blades. You got yourself back in the win column. But that was pretty much it. So moving on. Oh boy. All right, to a fight where nothing. John McDessie and Jesus Pinedo
did nothing for 15 minutes, and McDessie won.
Yeah, it was one of those kind of low-key sparring matches. I think there was one point, I can't remember if it was the second or third round, where they had like one mini flurry and the crowd like finally stopped booing and got excited.
Like, oh my God, these guys are fighting.
Right. And then after that flurry was over, it was just kind of like, yeah, back to business as usual. We're just gonna kickbox. Like, McDessie's just gonna like not really be aggressive. Like, nobody really just went for it in this fight. Like, they both just got comfortable in kind of this sparring pace, and you know, like, they landed a couple of shots, but like nobody really just tried to put the oomph on the performance. It was just a fight that happened. Yeah, we're not going to really spend time on that. John McDessie won, unanimous decision. You know, it is what it is. Moving on to the flyweight division.
Yeah, it's
Still
over.
alive. Jussier Formiga went up against Davis and Figueroa. Yeah, Jussier just kind of just beat him.
Did a good job. Like, whenever Figueroa would commit on one of those right hands, like, Formiga just ducked right under and got the takedown. Yeah, it was just really good. Like, or you know, not the funnest fight in the world, but like, Formiga just out showing like he's grown as a fighter. Like, this is a different dude than the dude who got knocked out by John Dodson.
Yeah.
Like, it might not be any more entertaining, but he's still really, really a solid fighter.
Yeah, like, Davison was not able to get off like any power shots.
Not, I would say entirely because he did manage to open Formiga up
Oh
from
yeah,
off
that
his
elbow.
back.
Yeah, he gave him the elbow from the back. I mean, from the bottom, and he cut. Yeah, he had blood dripping all over the place.
But you're right. Like it did absolutely it was just there to get beat.
Yeah, like Formiga was quick on the feet, and then like he's really good at just transitioning the takedowns. It's a really just smooth ground game. Like dude's just really just. I said this on Twitter. He's the Sun Sao of flyweight. Like the man will just win all these fights, but he'll probably never. He's probably never gonna get a title shot. He's just consistently been a top guy, literally since he's been in the UFC. But like nobody really talks about
You
it.
know, if he had lost this fight, he would be gone.
Yeah, he'd have got the pink slip with the quickness. But nah, like really good performance for him. And I know this is me being optimistic. If flyweight is to stay around, if he's not gonna get a title shot, let him fight Joey B for the number one contender. Something, give the man some kind of big fight.
Apparently, that's the plan. Joey B.
Yeah.
Number
Hopefully
contender
they
match.
hopefully they stick to that. Hopefully, we'll see. Because Formiga, like I said, the man has literally been in like the top 5 since he's been in the UFC, and just I think he had one contender fight back in the day against DAZN that he lost, and since then like. He's been like really good, but he's just never gotten a title shot, or even just like a really, he was always hanging around the top 5 and in the top 5, but never was getting like the super big fights. But we'll see, man. Really good performance from him, though. Like I said, just completely just kind of outclassed Figueroa, other than catching the elbow from the ground that opened him up. But yeah, Davidson couldn't get off any of those power shots that he was hoping to, and Formiga just kind of worked them. Moving down to the next fight, Luis Pena, who attempted to cut to featherweight, but he came in at 148 pounds, went against Steven Peterson. This was a pretty, decent, fun fight. Violent Bob Ross. Got off a lot of good combinations. I love people who throw in combinations. So he threw like an uppercut, 1-2, or 1-2 and uppercut, throwing some knees. I think he rocked Peterson in the first round with like a right hand. A lot of this fight became, I feel like Pena had the clear advantage like on the feet. Peterson was just kind of trying to wear on him. He was getting takedowns though. He took Pena down a number of times.
Took him down when he was hurt and tired.
Yeah.
So, Pena, good job cutting in that extra, well, not even 10, it was like 7 pounds because you missed weight.
And apparently he said their plan is he's still going to stick with 45.
Stupid.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of that. But, I mean, Peterson did a good job of just trying to keep pressure. He was trying to keep himself in the fight. He was going for takedowns. I think at one point he had went for like an armbar. He was trying to really just pull out a gutsy performance, but outside of the takedowns, he wasn't able to really get a ton off other than a few like sub attempts he had. And Pena was just able to get the better of him on the feet. Like I said, he rocked him in the first. Pena caught him with a nice, I think it was a head kick in like the third round that kind of stunned him. So yeah, Pena just had a much more effective offense, and the moments where Pena did get taken down, Peterson wasn't able to finish the job or really do anything too crazy to, put Pena in any real danger. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on Violent Bob Ross.
I'm just like my perception of this fight was colored by the fact he dropped to 145 because he won a rather one-sided fight. But like none of the problems that he moved down to solve seemed to be solved at all. He still got taken down by like Steven Peterson, who respectable journeyman, but he's not like that. That's not Alexander Volkanovski. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we shouldn't be comparing it to the top dudes in this division, but like when your solution to the problems you face in the division is to move down, that tells me you don't think you have technical problems with your game. You think you have you think you need advantages to win that he already has because he's a 6'3" lightweight. But like he could have got the same fight at 155 and kept 30% of his purse.
You're right. Basically.
And probably not have endangered himself trying to cut the extra 10 pounds. Like,
All right.
I don't understand the move. Because, like, this isn't the performance where you're like, oh, he beat Steven. Like, this was the win where he's like, oh, he beat Steven Pearson. Like, he's a legit, like, prospect. It's like, no, you beat Steven Pearson, who you were, like, 5 inches taller than and probably weighed more than, like, you had 15 pounds on.
All right. And he was still taking you down pretty much at will.
Took you down, put you against the fence. And here's the thing, like, he got inside repeatedly. Super easy. No resistance. Like, no, like, just no distance management. Like, he would just, like, shell up, and that would be enough because Peterson was tired and is honestly not that big of a puncher. So, like, he would just, like, wade himself into distance by, like, walking, and Pena would just let him do it. And was able to get away with it because, you know, he was fighting Peterson.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not trying to, like, wish bad on him, but I think he'll find out at featherweight it's low-key, like, lightweight junior. Like, there are killers everywhere.
They're killers, and they're gonna know how to deal with a guy who's your size.
Yeah.
They're going to attack that body.
And not only that, like, some of those guys, when they wrestle you, they're gonna be able to inflict some damage. It's not gonna be it ain't gonna be a fun time. Like those guys, some of them gonna know how to wear on you. They're gonna know how to just really grind you out. And yeah, it's
not like
I don't know.
You gotta address your whole, like, you're gonna spend your whole camp trying to make weight now. Like, when are you going to work on your actual, like, holes?
And it's not like he has a ace in the hole, like a trump card that he can just throw out that'll win him a fight. Like, he doesn't have, like, crazy KO power, or he's not like a submission specialist where you really have to, like, worry about his jiu-jitsu or something. He doesn't even have, like, one of those in his back pocket to, like, get him, you know, out of a jam. So it's this move just kind of doesn't really make sense. But, you know, a win is a win. Good performance from Violent Bob Ross. He went out there and got it done. So we'll see how his featherweight journey goes, so to speak. Moving on down to round out the main card, Macy Barber and JJ Aldridge. Boy, this was a fun one. So Macy Barber, man, obviously coming in, a lot of hype. One of the newer prospects in women's MMA. Boy, she got worked in that first round. JJ immediately came out, put the pressure on her, never let her get comfortable.
Put that jab in her face.
Yeah. Jabbed her, yeah, repeatedly, caught her with the straight that dropped her. Macy has that Darren Till head movement, which means she doesn't really have head movement. Her defensive strategy is to, like, I'm going to try to lean back and hope that you're not in good enough distance to return fire. And more often than not, it doesn't work out. She doesn't really, like, her head never moves side to side. It's just kind of straight forward and back. It's not really prime defense. Especially since JJ was just kind of landing that straight pretty much at will. And, I mean, I'll give Macy credit. She's tough. She can take a shot. I think to some of her flaws, I guess she's somewhat able to get away with, as we saw. Obviously, she's tough because she got beat up in that first round, and I thought the second was going to be pretty much the same. But I'll give Macy some credit. I think she did make some adjustments in the second round. She stopped. I'm not going to say she stopped, but she did a better effort of being the one to kind of move forward, because of the whole first round, she was kind of just she was moving backwards a lot. Like JJ was just in her face. She was constantly moving backwards. She never was able to like really take control of the fight. And I think in the second round she was kind of more firm and just kind of standing her ground. She would push forward, or even if she wasn't pushing forward the entire time, she would stand and trade. She started to work the clinch game a little more in the second. She started to show a little more of her game. So good job on just not getting boxed in, because the second round could have easily went the way the first did. But good on her, and I'm going to assume her corner, who probably gave her advice to make some adjustments, which she definitely made. Still, though, defensive holes were still kind of there. I just think she did better in the second because she, like I said, she stood her ground more. She returned fire more. She started to land more, partially because she was not moving backwards so much. And she can hit hard. She can crack. So she caught JJ with a couple of good shots, and I think the one that ended it was like a left that really stunned JJ, backed her up, and then Macy just went in for this killer instinct ultra combo, unleashed it, landed a knee, and JJ just, kind of couldn't take it. So good on Macy for a really good comeback win. Because like I said, those defensive holes were just really out to be exploited, and she, still found a way to overcome. So good on Macy, staying undefeated, keeping her dreams alive of becoming becoming the youngest champion in UFC history. But I'll say, if you're gonna fight Valentina, you better tighten up that defense, buddy.
Yeah.
Because you did that against Valentina, boy, you would be looking at a ceiling right now. But good on her. Good comeback win.
Yeah, like that. This is the type of thing you hope to see. Like you test a young prospect, they get down and they come back and they adjust and they get the win. Like she's really hittable. She keeps her chin really high in the air. Doesn't really move her head on her punches. Though she does, like when she chooses to like move her head to defend punches, she's actually pretty decent at it. She did it a couple times in the first round. Just it never like materialized into like a counter or anything. It was just to get away from strikes. But like she's a little too bouncy, a little too like floaty on the outside. And it just makes her really hittable from range. But like on the inside, she is just a tank. Like anytime they clinched up, she would like just throw 3 or 4 strikes, and you could tell they were really like they Aldridge was not okay with it. And that the left she landed on the counter at that started the end of the fight was really, really smooth and really, really nice. I don't. Like, it's really hard to gauge like where her ceiling's at. It's hard to gauge. It's hard to gauge who's anybody's ceiling's at this division because there's like no metagame to it yet.
Right.
Because like it's Valentina Shevchenko and then it's everybody else, and Jessica Ai is gonna fight for a title. Joanne Calderwood or Liz Carmouche or Kaylin Chukagian is gonna fight for a title after that. Like there's no we know what the roadmap to winning a title at welterweight looks like as compared to like flyweight. Like it's a lot. There's a lot of trial and error that's about to go on in this division for the foreseeable future before we understand like what makes a champion at women's 125.
Yeah.
And this was her first fight at 125. She debuted at strawweight. Did she come in overweight?
No, she made it.
Okay. But
yeah.
She was the one who was eating 500 calories a day, trying to make 115. By the way, don't do that. It will literally kill you. Like, if you're a woman and you're like 5'5" and you're like 130 pounds or whatever, like I think the minimum you're supposed to be eating is like 1,200 to lose weight. Like I'm sure if you're like a professional athlete who trains like 6 hours a day, it's probably more than that. But if you have to lose like, I don't even know how much that would be. It's like,
yeah, just don't be out here starving yourself.
Yeah, that's dumb. Don't do that.
I think she has a good size for 125 though.
Yeah.
Like I think this is a She seemed pretty good in size. I don't think that'll be a problem. So I think she should probably just leave 115 alone.
Yeah. But like, and she's a finisher. Like that's the big thing, because like that's going to separate you from so many of these other women who can't punch or who are like exclusively like grapplers. Like Jillian, what was her name? Jillian Robertson. The woman on the 3-fight win streak.
I think so.
But yeah, no, like a solid come from behind win. Like I hope we see her shore up or begin to shore up some of these holes, because I don't think because she got cracked by Hannah Cifers a few times in her debut. I mean, it was stemming from a lot of the same problems, and 5 months is a whole lot of time to correct those. But like, she's 20, she's only been fighting as a pro for like 2 years. She is 5-6 years away from being like a prime of her career fighter. If she doesn't take too many licks before then, but be patient.
I mean, we'll see though, because I was gonna say with this division, depending on how fast, how much she can grow in between fights, if you keep getting finishes, you might just find yourself in a title fight, because it's not. The division, like, it's still just starting. It's still kind of thin.
Yeah, and the UFC's we know the UFC's not going to slow their roll for anybody.
Right. So, if anything, patch up them those defensive holes, so that's going to get you in trouble. That's going to get you lit up against the wrong person that you don't want to catch hands and feet from. But I don't know. Like, I don't think it's far-fetched that she could find herself in like a title shot.
No, like
maybe like a year or two.
Like, Dana seems to be like a fan of hers, from the sound of it. Like, he's all up on her Instagram page talking about how she has like a bright future.
I mean, I can see the,
like, I get it. Confidence is great. Like, she's out here like I'm going to be a big. She's not. I want to be a bigger star than Conor and Ronda. She's like, I'm going to be, and that's the type of mentality you want to have.
Right. And you can market that. So I can see Dana looking at her, and, the money sign might flash in his eye. Get a little money twinkle. But no, we'll see though. Good comeback win for Macy. We'll see how she keeps improving. But so far undefeated, so I guess so good. Just needs to work on a few things. We'll see who they match up with next. And we'll see how it goes from there. But that was the main card on the ESPN Plus side. Or really, the whole card was on ESPN Plus. So moving on to the prelims. A lot of these fights probably won't be a ton to break down. But the headliner of the ESPN Plus prelims, Bryce Mitchell versus Bobby Moffett.
For those who don't know, Bryce Doug Nasty Mitchell is the dude who tore his entire scrotum with a power tool, last fall or something, I want to say.
Yeah, they were sure to mention that during the during the broadcast.
And then posted the bloody pics of his underwear on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh my God.
Also, apparently, I don't know if they mentioned this during the broadcast or it was at an interview he did during the fight week, but I saw somebody on Twitter mention it. Apparently, every day he was on Tough, right? So every day on Tough, he would just ask for a new pair of underwear. So when he left Tough, he left with 100 pairs of underwear.
Why are you stealing underwear, sir?
Because he doesn't have to pay for it. In Missouri, underwear is expensive.
My man got he's got the Sam's Club or the Costco warehouse of just underwear in his closet, just chilling.
Yep. I mean,
but hey,
can't
man,
be mad.
Underwear. I ain't underwear. Some of them packs can get expensive. Try to buy a nice little 9-pack. It's $15.
Yeah, I imagine he got the good compression ones.
Right.
So
Hey man, he's winning.
Dude, those some of those can run you like $20 for 4.
Yeah.
So.
So good on him. But no, this was a cool fight. I didn't really. I felt like a lot of people were really hype about this, and I was kind of I guess it's because I wasn't really big on either guy. Like I don't really watch Tough, so I remember the drill incident, but as far as like just on the fighting side of things, I wasn't really feeling any kind of way one way or another.
I remember Moffitt was the dude who subbed Chaz Kelly controversially.
I hardly remember that. I think they mentioned it, and that for me was kind of like, I'll take our word for it. I don't really, I don't recall said incident. But no, this was a cool fight. I don't remember this like in super specific ton of detail. Just more so, it seemed like Bobby was really trying to wear Bryce down, and I don't know. Bryce was kind of a wild man. He was landing some good strikes. Bobby, it seemed like, was just really trying to tire him down, trying to wear on him, take him down. He did take him down a few times. At one point, he tried to sink in. I can't remember if that was a Darce. Somebody tried to sink in. There were actually a lot of just submission attempts in this fight that just never happened. Like, I think Bobby tried the Darce. That didn't happen. At one point, Bryce had Bobby's back, tried to sink in a rear naked choke, but I don't think it was like all the way under the chin.
He tried to go for like some weird crucifix choke.
Yeah. Like, there was some wild this was one of those fights that to me wasn't like technically great. Like, you could tell that both guys are still prospects. So like everything didn't look, I think, as clean as it would like against as opposed to watching like a top level fighter. But it was still like a fun back and forth, you know, one guy really just trying to impose on the other, and neither one of them is really trying to, you know. I think that made up for what, you know, was a lack of like, I guess, like great technique. It was just two guys just really just trying to go after it.
Yeah, Bobby Moffitt went after it too much and ended up costing him the fight.
But hey,
his
man,
coaches are in his corner screaming, just keep top control, keep heavy on top, and then he's like trying to go for submissions, and then Bryce Mitchell takes his back.
Yeah. It was a lot of those green prospect moments in this fight. But no, I mean they were throwing down. It weren't many dull moments. They were consistently going after it.
No, it was deserving of fight of the night.
Yeah. And I think that's good that like two, I guess, quote unquote prospects got fight of the night. That's a good
Reebok,
sign.
make this man his camo shorts, please.
Yeah, Bryce post-fight interview. He put on for Arkansas, and yeah, he yelled. He was very passionate about wanting those camo shorts.
Arkansas. Bryce Mitchell's going to be the Arkansas what Jason Knight was to Mississippi.
Right.
I don't know if that means anything.
But we gonna know. And he said he's not They were trying to sales pitch and get Bryce to come and train out at AKA. He said, "No, I ain't even Arkansas, bro. Like, I'm just."
That might not be the wisest decision, but I respect him for making it.
I respect it. No, you know.
I mean, not everybody can be OSB. I'm just saying.
he trying to put Arkansas on the map. So, you know. But nah, it was a, like I said, I don't remember it in like a lot of specific detail, but it was a fun back and forth fight. And Bryce Mitchell from Arkansas, he got it done. So he won a unanimous decision, 29-28. Hopefully he doesn't go way over Jason Knight, like a guy who comes in at featherweight and is like fun, and then
burn the fuck out.
Right. And then like he just never looks the same again, and then he ends up fighting in bare knuckle league.
I mean, he is from Arkansas.
Ugh. Yikes.
So I mean, if those bare knuckle dudes are making money, I don't see why not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's a trip from Arkansas to Wyoming? Oh boy, but no, that was a fun prelim headliner. So shout out to Bryce Mitchell. he got the job done. Moving on down, Marlon Chito Vera versus Frankie Saenz. We were supposed to have gotten this fight earlier this month, but Marlon had to pull out, but they rescheduled it. Saenz came out pretty aggressive. Vera was throwing a lot of leg kicks. Not a ton really crazy happened. I mean, the fight only lasted a little over a minute. Little just back and forth exchanges here and there. Nothing really like too crazy. And then Vera caught him with a very nice, I think he threw a leg kick before he just caught Saenz with this jab. This jab just shut the lights out. Kind of reminded me of the Cerrone and Barboza, where he just kind of puts the jab out there and dude just crumbles.
Walked right into it.
Yeah, he walked right into the jab, gets dropped. Marlon lands some ground and pound, albeit I think about 2 of those hits were to the back of the head, but it is what it is.
I mean, back of the head, front of the head.
Man, it's all the same.
Same part of the body.
It's Cheeto. You want me to call out an illegal shot? I'm not calling out. It's Cheeto. I like Cheeto. So
He fought so hard he was able to make his daughter smile.
yeah.
Like how am I supposed to call like an illegal move on that? Like, come on.
Yeah. He's a family man. He's out here working. I like.
Dude took all that bonus money. Was able to move his family from Venezuela to California. I'm sorry, Ecuador to California. So
Yeah, man.
props to him.
Yeah, props to him, man. He's really, really working, and been like impressive lately. He's become a really fun guy at bantamweight to watch night in and night out when he fights.
3-fight winning streak. Was it like 7-4 in the UFC? Yeah, no, it's fun, awesome.
He gets a lot of love on the timeline. Like I didn't see anybody on my timeline who was rooting against Cheeto. Like I think like we were all in collective like Cheeto got to win.
I mean, how could he not? Like, dude seems hella chill.
So, shout out to Cheeto, man. Just the jab of death. just took poor Frankie out. So Cheeto got that win. That was a TKO in round 1. The next fight, which we jokingly mentioned earlier, returning back to women's flyweight, Jennifer Maia and Alexis Davis. My recollection of this fight was there was a lot of boxing from Maia's end in the first round. She caught Davis with a lot of good shots. I want to say she stumbled her at one point. Second round, Davis was able to get Maia on the ground where Maia wasn't really offering much resistance. And then in the third round, I can't really remember what happened in the third round. I think it was a little bit of both. Maia probably had a bit more output. This wasn't really a bad fight, but I just don't really remember it in a ton. It was, like you said, it's a lot of fights on this card. Like, they might have been entertaining and good, but they were just kind of fights that just happened.
They will go in the dustbin that is part of our brain.
Yeah. They were just kind of...
And then the next time these fighters fight, we're like, did we watch that?
Right.
And then we'll be like, of course we did,
bring
because
up,
we watch everything.
Right. They'll bring up, Maia's last win against Alexis Davis. Like, she fought Alexis Davis? But, shout outs to Maia, though. She was, former Invicta flyweight champ. Lost her first match in the UFC against Carmouche, and then bounces back and gets her hand raised for the first time. So congrats to her. Solid performance from what I remember.
She boxed the crap. Like on the feet, she actually did box the crap out of Davis. She hurt her in the first round. I remember that. And then like the thing with Maia is that she's the more technically sound puncher and the better athlete, and Davis is not very athletic at all. Like watching her throw some of those punches was kind of painful. Cause she looked like she was in pain throwing a lot of the time, like really labored throwing. But when she got to the ground, she got into the ground the second. It was just like, why is she being so conservative with it? Why is she like going a little bit harder?
Yeah, because Maia wasn't doing.
Yeah, like Maia's defense on the ground was basically to hold on for dear life.
Yeah. But, you know,
Huh.
it is what it is. It happened. But congrats to Jennifer for my first win in the UFC. Moving down to women's strawweight, Angela Hill and Ronda Marcos. Got my feelings hurt. I was mad because I missed, in real time, I missed the first 3 fights of this card because I was playing Sekiro. And I got back to my laptop right when Marcos was getting her hand raised. And I just like, oh man, what happened? And I went back and watched it.
And the answer was jujitsu.
Yeah. But as much as I'm a Hill fan, props to Marcos. That like cause she was going, I think, for like a rear naked choke at first, and then like she was going for something else at first, and then like wrapped her. She did like the reach around with the leg to get the arm bar in. It was actually really slick.
Oh yeah, it was gorgeous. And then like the little battle they had for her for Hill's arm.
Yeah. Hill was trying. she was trying. Yeah, I was worried in this fight because it kept going to the clinch so much, and they were saying in the commentary that for this camp, Marcos worked a lot on her striking, and Angela did the opposite. She worked a lot on her, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all that good
That's
stuff.
all lies.
Either that or maybe she did, because I was hoping that she would just try to keep it a striking match and not like only engage in like close quarters and like clinching and grappling like if you just absolutely need to. But well, I guess it didn't matter. She kind of got pushed to it because Marcos hit her with that blitz and then just kind of rushed her and just kind of tossed her down. Yeah, I mean it is what it is. Beautiful submission from Marcos. I got my feelings hurt. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what y'all want from me. It is what it is.
That was the best performance of Ronda Marcos' UFC career.
There you go. Yeah, that's probably the perfect way to describe that fight. So, I mean, shout outs to her. That was a beautiful armbar. I can't lie. As much as it hurt my feelings to watch, it was a beautiful armbar. And then these next 2 fights, in real time, I was playing Sekiro, so I missed these. I partially got a chance to watch this next fight at bantamweight, Chris Gutierrez and Ryan McDonald. My gist of this fight, from what I saw, and I only watched a little bit, like right before we literally started recording this podcast. Gutierrez was just kind of beating McDonald up. Really, just good leg kicks, body kicks, jabs. He kind of was just doing whatever he wanted. Like McDonald's face was bloody, leg was limping. He didn't really have much to offer. Gutierrez just kind of put a kickbox and he just beat him up for 3 rounds, basically.
Yeah. And, I don't know either of these dudes now I think about it. I don't know Ryan McDonald. I don't know Chris Gutierrez. Let me make sure I don't know who he is. Oh, he's a dude who lost to Marvaliev. Okay. I remember that fight back in WSOF. And he lost to Barcelos. Well, this is the first time I remember seeing him. I was actually pretty impressed. He looked good. Like he attacked the lead leg of Ryan McDonald really well. Completely threw off his McDonald's game. Just like great distance management and movement. He was just far enough out where he was able to parry punches and return counters. Like never was in any real danger except a couple times when McDonald like just flurried as hard as he could for like 2 seconds before Gutierrez would hit a corner and tag him. Just really all around solid performance. Not a whole lot to say about Ryan McDonald. Not the best showing for your UFC debut, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, great performance from Gutierrez. He won. He got 30-27 across the board for a unanimous decision. And the last fight, which I did not get to mention, get to see at all, At flyweight, Jordan Espinosa defeated Eric Shelton via unanimous decision, but I didn't see this fight, so I can't really comment on it. And neither one of us, did you see it?
Espinosa, Shelton, I did. I fell asleep during it. Not because the fight was bad. If I remember, it was all right. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep the last 2 days, guys. So you know.
Yeah, we know.
I am gone.
Yeah. we have lives outside of recording podcasts.
I mean,
yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch that fight either. So.
I mean, that's not why that's not why I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep because I was stupid. I woke up and I didn't go back to sleep.
Yeah, you live and you learn. It is what it is. But yeah. So props to Espinosa. He got a unanimous decision over Eric Shelton, but neither one of us saw it. But we'll just throw him a bone and say it was a good performance and great job. So congrats to Jordan Espinosa. But that was pretty much it. So we had Bellator 218, UFC, KSW. If you have these apps, ESPN Plus, DAZN, well, Bellator you can just watch on the website. But if you want to go back and watch these fights, go check them out. UFC Nashville as a whole, not a great card, but like it was cool.
It's a good way to kill 5 hours.
Yeah, if you don't got nothing else to do.
Just skip the co-main event and the McDessie-Pinedo fight.
Yeah. I was going to say, if there were any, like, must-see, you want to go back, maybe you don't want to watch the whole card, but you just want to catch just some of the good highlights, definitely watch Pettis Wonderboy, because that fight was it just ended in craziness. Probably one of the craziest KOs we are going to see this year. Definitely watch the Macy Barber, J.J. Aldridge. Watch Bryce Mitchell, Bobby Moffitt. Watch Frankie Saenz and Chito Vera. Everything else, if you're a fan of a certain person, maybe watch the Formiga, Figueroa. Anything else, don't watch McDessie and Pinedo. Don't do that.
That's worst fight of the year competition right there.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself. But anything else, like if you're a fan of a certain fighter, maybe watch see how they did. But like it was just an okay card. Like it was cool for what it was. Not anything too crazy, not too much of substance, but we got some good moments. You got a good prospect in Macy Barber who continues to stay undefeated, and you just got Anthony Pettis he's still out here, knocking people out, which is kind of wild. But other than that, like it was a cool weekend of fight. So go back and watch what we mentioned. There's some things to take away from it. And next week, man.
I'm sad I won't be here, man.
30th. Oh Lord, boy, we got some violence coming down next week, man. UFC Philly.
Fight of the month, let's go.
Edson Barboza, Justin Gaethje. This might be the first death in UFC history.
I feel so bad for Edson Barboza. Like all these dudes in this division are just pathologically aggressive.
You're right.
to the point that they are like. It's just insane the amount of pressure that a Khabib Nurmagomedov or a Tony Ferguson or Kevin Lee can exert, and then when he finally gets like a win or two, like a really impressive win together against somebody who's not like that, they put him in there with the worst of the bunch.
Right.
That's the Gaethje. There was someone created a strike differential. Did I send it to you? Like someone created a strike differential chart for all the top 10 fighters in the UFC, and they were all kind of clustered in the middle. About even. And Justin Gaethje was all the way out on his island by himself because the man throws and eats so many punches.
So many punches. Yeah, it is.
It is inhuman.
Like, if you guys just get a chance, for people who don't really pay attention to organizations outside of the UFC, this has been Gaethje's entire career. He's always fought like this. Go back and watch his old World Series of Fighting fights. Watch the wars that he had with Luis Palomino. The dude just, every single fight, he eats 1,000 punches, throws 1,000 punches.
Go watch him beat up Nick Newell and almost get the WSOF kicked off of NBC.
And what's crazy is Gaethje is such a good wrestler, and he just nobody ever sees it because he just
Because he's not here for that.
yeah, he ain't here for that, man. That man is here for violence only. So I guess real quick, I'm not doing too bad on time. Real quick before we close out with parting shots. Predictions, man. How's this fight gonna go? If you had somebody got a gun in your head, you gotta pick a winner.
Me? Gaethje.
Yeah.
Gaethje.
Yeah. This is one of those fights, one of those rare moments where like I'm a big fan of both guys, and I don't want to see either one of them lose. Kind of especially Barboza, just because of like you said, they just match him up with. I mean, when you're in lightweight, this just kind of happens anyway. Just everybody's so good that like it's just every fight is just extremely difficult for no reason. Oh my God, yeah, this. I think Gaethje's gonna win, but like there's like my heart is just like kind of pulling for Barboza.
There's every chance Barboza just cracks him with a flying knee.
Yeah.
And Gaethje eats it and dies in the cage like he wants to.
Yeah.
Because he really does want to die. But that wasn't a joke. I'm being for real.
Yeah, he literally said, yeah, he would die, and he's the one guy when he says that I believe him wholeheartedly. But yeah, I want Barboza to win, but just Gaethje's pressure and just his offense. If Barboza slows down even a little bit, man, he is in trouble. But that's gonna be a crazy fight. That is gonna be straight. You have to be in front of the TV when this fight happens. Because this is going to be shenanigans. That's a pay-per-view worthy fight right there. But yeah, also on that card real quick, of course, Barboza Gaethje, the GOAT, Dave Brantz against Jack Hermanson. You got Josh Emmett versus Michael Johnson. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Michelle Waterson. You got Shayman Moraes versus Sadiq Youssef. Ross Pearson, Des Green, Kevin Aguilar is coming back against your boy Enrique Barzola. Yep. That should be a really good fight. Kevin Holland's coming back against Gerald Meerschaert. Ray Borg coming back against Kyler Phillips. And we also have Sabina Mazo making her debut, coming over from LFA against Marina Moroz. So this is going to be a good card, man. There are some really good fights on here. I predict there's gonna be some violence on this card, man. It's gonna be some good. This card's gonna be a good time.
I will throw it out there that what you call it? E60, the ESPN program did a feature on Michelle Waterson. So that's out there in the ESPN sphere. It's probably you can probably watch on their app or whatever. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It looked like it was good. Like I've seen some of the E60 stuff. Like I'm not.
Yeah, they generally do a really good job.
High class, high quality, profiling. I don't know. That's another thing about ESPN. Like all these people, like Fox was obviously a bigger audience than Spike, but like the people who go to Fox don't go to Fox for like sports. Like they go for football on like Sunday afternoons or whatever. Or they go for like the news at 10. Or
We
they go
started
for like
with
the
one
Simpsons
soccer
at
class in a
whatever
child
time
care
they play the
center.
Simpsons.
Today we're in
Like if you're watching ESPN, you're just looking for sports content.
Right.
So like the people who maybe they're not MMA fans, but they're sports fans, and they just need sports content in their life. Like now they know who Michelle Waterson is. That's really cool.
Right. And that's why I just overall, well, outside of this ESPN pay-per-view shenanigans, like the ESPN deal was just a great move. Like you're going to this huge sports platform that knows what they're doing. They've been in this game forever. And you get the sense just from the quality of their content. Like, if you watch any E60 documentary, they're always just the highest of quality. Just they actually, like, care about sports. Like, this is what they do.
And, like, so, maybe they do a little bit more promotion than they do, like, capital J journalism. But, They still do what they do with a quality that you're probably not going to get at Fox Sports ever.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Oh, and little bit of news. Aldo was discharged from the hospital, and his fight with Volkanovski at UFC 237 has the green light again.
Let's go. There we go, man. Aldo, that fight's gonna be awesome. Aldo might be the first fighter I might like cry when he retires. I might shed a thug tear. I'm gonna be really hurt when he's not in the sport.
Yeah, I can't even cry anymore, man. Like, leave. If you can leave on your own 2 feet, please leave.
Yeah, I just think he wasn't appreciated. Like, if not to go back and be the old man. Man, if you guys didn't watch WEC, like, when it was happening, like, you missed, like, a mini golden era over, like, I don't remember how long the WEC was around, but those span of how many ever those few years was just such a amazing time to be an MMA fan. And, like, I stumbled into WEC on accident, and it was, like, the greatest discovery in MMA I've ever found.
Oh, yeah, no, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was such a good time. So that Aldo for me, he holds a special place. It's like I'm really gonna miss that guy when he's not fighting anymore or not doing MMA. I don't know if he's gonna do his old boxing.
I'll say Aldo is like, he is such a casualness about MMA, where like he literally knows nothing of the sport outside of like what happens in Nova União. And I love it. It's just like, yeah, no, I this is just my job. My real hobby is I ride motorcycles around all day. Yeah. And I go to soccer games. It's just like, that's my real passion.
Yeah. But like, he's ridiculously good at fighting.
Exactly. I love it.
Like insanely good at fighting. But nah, man, yeah, I'm glad that fight got green light, because that's gonna be an amazing fight. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got for today's episode. So we'll go ahead and close out with parting shots and shout outs. I actually have both today. I finally wrote down a shot. But I'll start off on a positive note, man. Shout outs to Ja Morant. If you don't watch basketball, don't care about March Madness. Morant, man, point guard from Murray State. I mean, they did get put out of the tournament. They lost to Florida State. They actually got shellacked. I don't remember what the exact score was.
90 is like 65 or something.
Yeah, they got beat. They got beat pretty bad. But Ja Morant, man, that's an incredible talent, man. Like, players like him are kind of the reason like why I watch March Madness, because there's always this one player who comes from a school that like you're not really familiar with, and he's just like a straight up baller. And Morant is that. He for me was that dude in this tournament. Albeit, like I said, they only made it out of the first round. But dude is he's an incredible point guard, man. Just great passing. He makes his team better.
Ridiculous athlete.
Yeah, dude is he's somebody that when I don't know if he's going to the league. I don't think, because the last interview I read after they lost, he said he hasn't really made a decision yet. But keep an eye on him, man, because whatever his stock was before in this tournament after that first game definitely just went way up.
It was top 3 before the tournament. He might be number 2 now.
Yeah, he might be number 2.
I don't know if anybody's ever gonna play well enough to unseat Zion, but
Zion, he might be the best player not named Zion. Like he might go over RJ
be better than Zion in the long run.
Yeah, he looks to me like he's the most. He could be NBA. He looks like NBA ready. I'm not saying he's gonna come in the league and take over, but
yeah, point guard's hard. That's the thing. Like you have the ball so much, you give it. Like especially as a rookie, you end up turning it over like an obscenely high amount of times. Like you'll get dudes like Trae Young and who come in the league and like their first month they're averaging like 5 turnovers a game.
And you do see that in some of his game, because he did have a lot of turnovers in even that. I can't remember the team they beat, and I watched it. Oh yeah, when they played Marquette, he did have a lot of turnovers. I think partially because like I think his court vision is not like his other teammates aren't on like the same level. So like I feel like he sees stuff that they're not looking for. So he's passing the ball to spots that he thinks they're gonna go, and they're like they're not there when he does it. But no, like if he gets drafted to a team that just has like some scores around him, this kid's gonna be special, man. He is really fun to watch. So shout outs to Ja Morant. He's made this tournament just really fun to watch. Kind of sad that his run ended this early, but that kid he's extremely talented. Whenever he decides to go to the league, keep an eye on him, man. That kid's special. Parting shot. I put this parting shot to the UFC production team because I didn't know who else to give it to. I don't know who was in charge of this. But so during the Macy Barber fight, when they were doing the whole spiel of Barber saying how like I want to be the youngest champ, and she was setting the clock to the screen like I got 2 years, 16 hours, blah 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 blah. And then after that whole spiel, they proceed to list off like a lot of the youngest champs just from sports in general. And it started off cool because like I had learned something. I didn't know that there was somebody.
I remember this now.
I didn't know there was somebody who won like the U.S. Open at like 16, so that was dope. So like whoever that was on there. Like LeBron was on there. Of course, John Jones was on there. There was one name in this crowd that did not belong with the rest of these names. From the Detroit Pistons, who deserved no with them.
We almost made it.
We did. How much of that rant it even got. But so you guys will probably just hear some fancy edit because I don't know what just happened. My computer just like froze. But my parting shot was to the UFC production team for throwing Darko Milicic in as one of the youngest champions. Darko Milicic was a bust. The man was extra trash. He did not deserve to be mentioned along the names of a John Jones, Tiger Woods, any of those. Don't throw Darko in my face. Just don't. But that's all I got for my parting shots and shout-outs.
Shouts to all the wrestlers who competed at the NCAA championships this past weekend. Special shout out to the hell? Sorry, there was an ad. Shouts to fellow BC, Penn State, and Rutgers alum Nick Soriano, who won Rutgers' first national title in their school, along with Anthony Ashnault, who also won one later in the day. First 2 wrestling titles in Rutgers history, which is crazy because New Jersey turns out some of the best wrestlers in the country on a consistent basis. Shouts to Jordan Burroughs. Shouts to Green. We just never, for whatever reason, they never want to go to Rutgers, which I understand because Newark sucks. But yeah, no, shouts to them. Shouts to Penn State, who clinched another team title. I think that's like 7 of the last 8 or 6 of the last 7 or something like that. Sanderson earning his paycheck, bringing world titles, bringing national titles to the school. That's all I got. It's a low-key weekend.
Yeah. Shouts to Stokes. He was given the wrestling updates as they were happening.
Oh yeah, shouts to Stokes because I didn't even know about it until he told me, "Oh, Soriano's in the semifinals." I was like, "Wait, that's this weekend?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, it's the end of March."
Yeah, he was giving us the play-by-play. So yeah, that was pretty much it for today's episode. As always, we appreciate you guys for listening. So give us a look, man. As always, you can give us a listen. SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. Hit us up on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter at Serial Sensei and on Twitch where I game on weekends and try my best. But appreciate you guys, man, for hanging with us for this episode. As always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.